Well, what is up, you amazing soul warriors? I'm so grateful to be here with you for this Saturday night soul session live with me, Reverend LC. I am I'm grateful to be here with you, especially under this crazy energy we're under right now. Big lunar eclipse happening, a lot of emotions going on, a lot of big lessons going on in our lives. I know I'm not the only one. You're probably wondering to yourself, what the heck is going on, right? That's what I've been doing, and I've been going through a lot, and I'm grateful to honestly be going through it. I guess I'm grateful to kind of be on the side where I'm starting to come back into a newer and even higher version of myself, because that's what these big lessons bring. This big pain, these big storms, and especially for those of us in recovery, we need to understand this is these big storms bring that next level of growth. It brings that next level of recovery. It's why there's no year mark in recovery that we get to where we're good. I think that's what people mean when they call, when they say it's a disease and it's a lifelong thing, because there is no place that we get to where we just say, oh, I'm good. I'm coasting through life now. And to hold that idea in our minds when we come into recovery can be really, really devastating. It's led me back towards relapse so many times throughout my life. I struggled with active, deep, dark addiction for 22 years of my life. And so I've been in recovery now for 10 years, and each one of these years brings its own kinds of lessons, because I vowed to myself to become the best version of myself possible, to become the person that I was created to be. The person that I always knew lived inside of me deep down while I was in my addiction. And there's so much contradicting energy in there when you just know at heart you're a really good person, and that you probably have a lot of potential somewhere in there. But that other side of you at that time is so large and so in control that it forces you to do things that contradict that knowing. And there's a big amount of suffering that goes along with that. And one of my big lessons throughout this energy in this year has really been self-worth, and what that means, and how to create self-worth within an energy, a body, a person, a sovereign being. How to create self-worth within myself when my foundation of self-worth is lacking, it's wounded. In my episode with Tandy, and I hope you watch that on YouTube, my episode with Tandy, we talked about the wounds of worthiness. And so many of us that, this is important to those of us, I'm telling you, in recovery from some type of addiction recovery. This is important because we say a lot about how we feel about ourselves because we put substances in our bodies, and healthy people that aren't carrying trauma and all of that other stuff, they don't poison their bodies knowingly, like with shaky substances. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not buying this stuff from chemists and doctors, so to speak. We're trusting some random person that we meet with our lives, and that says a lot about our worthiness. So if we don't think we have a wound of worthiness, if you're in the addiction recovery community, you do. You do, and it may right now be being messed with. You may be going through some really big lessons right now, some really big next level. This is the vehicle that takes you to that next level of that higher and highest version of yourself. And so you may be going through a lot of worth right now. And so that's really what we're going to talk about tonight. I know I've already talked so much, but that's what we're going to talk about tonight. I'm going to share some things with you about my current path of self-worth. of learning what my true foundation is and all of that. I'm going to share some of that with you tonight. I'm going to share some of the amazing parts of the lesson to you because I'm still in it. I'm not through it yet, but I know I'm on my way. Like my life is becoming brighter. Um, but I've had to process a lot of emotional pain lately. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Hey, if you like our content, you know you can help support us in so many different ways. And I've made a vow to myself to really start putting this out there because I love it and I think that the messages that we share here on Recovery Soul Food are are really awesome for the healing soul. You know, and it's not for everybody, and I get that and I understand that, and that's okay. I it is for people that are in a space where they're ready to receive that deeper soul healing that I like to talk about, and I like to have guests talk about here on this podcast and YouTube channel. So you can follow us on Recovery Soul Food on TikTok and Instagram. That, of course, helps us. On Instagram, it is at recovery underscore soul food. You can also help us by becoming a monthly supporter. You can help us keep going and growing by going to www.anchor. I mean, yeah, .fm/ recovery soul food. Or, you can do, if you want to do one time, you can send stars on Facebook. You can Venmo at Recovery Soul Food. Just anything helps. And like I said, I vowed to really start putting that out there because this is my heart. I love doing this. I love bringing this type of information. I think that it's really necessary in the times that we are moving into. And we have, I think, this call in the recovery community to really bring recovery to the forefront because it is health and wellness. And the world needs this as much as it's vital to us. The world needs this as well. So I thank you guys for helping us. You can also listen and follow and do all of the things anywhere that you get your podcast. You can listen to Recovery Soul Food. So if y'all are ready to really get going on this path of self-worth with me, the painful path of self-worth with me, then I'm ready to. So let's go.
3, 2, 1, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4.
That song gets me fired up. What's up, Mary Huffman? What's up, Pamela Topchian? So grateful that you guys are here. Uh, and if anyone else is out there, we're live on like 6 or 7 platforms right now, so I don't see. But if you're here, thank you so much. For those that'll watch this on the replay, thank you, and I hope that you receive it. So yeah, we are in a big energy right now. A lot of stuff going on, and I mean, it's really the catalyst to what's going to take us into this new year. There's so much of really releasing right now, and that's why it's coming up. You know, I described it to my wife. We were talking before, and I described it to my wife, trying to describe to her this energy that I'm in because I've been through a really painful path that dug all the way down to the deep roots of my wounds of worthiness and just grabbed them, and it was like yanked me in, inside out, just like that. But it has been, and it's going to prove to be, one of the greatest lessons and healings, more than lessons. That's not really the word because it conjures up something that means, you know, these are healings. And this is going to prove to be one of the healings that I never ever forget its origin and how it's going to serve me coming up. And that's what this time is about. So you may be doing a lot of cleaning out, getting your old stuff, the old stuff that you no longer need, that you're maybe hoarding, that's in your way, or to clean out your closet. Like, these are times to do that, and you may find yourself being drawn to clear out that old energy. We're moving into a time into a shift in basically history, for all of us. And the reason that I talk so much about healing in versus more of the advocate work, that maybe used to be my lane, but I stay in the lane of healing because I have come to an understanding that we don't change the world by just what we say. We really heal the world when we begin to heal ourselves and we show up different. And as we show up different, we then put out an energy that comes back to us. And we get to this place in these egoic death cycles. That's really what they are. Um, and they're painful. And we get to the place in these cycles that, you know, call for us almost to go so dark that it can be scary. But it really holds the key to whatever it is that you are asking for in your life, whatever it is on a soul level. I mean, we're taking this shift into history, and right now we're in the darkness. And we can almost predict that it's going to get a little bit darker and the world's going to get crazier. And so, as we heal those broken egoic parts of ourselves in that darkness that is super scary, especially for those of us in the recovery community, addiction recovery of any kind, because we know that shaky ground. And the harder the lesson and the deeper it grabs, the deeper it goes, the scarier it gets. A- And this is what the world's going to be going through. It's what it's starting to go through because we're going through a lot of shifts and changes. There are big structures that are now being reworked, broken down. Some things are crumbling. Everything's being exposed. Everybody's picking a side, and we're devising. But that's not what's going to save us as humanity. That's not what's going to save us. And so, as we start to realize these things within ourselves, we begin to relate to the world in a different way. And the more of us that do that, the more of us that do that, then the more of us really have a hand in shifting us a little smoother into this next new exciting time. And it's hard to say exciting time when sometimes it can feel so fearful. And that's what these big lessons are doing. Right? They're doing in our lives. And the bigger it is, the bigger and more catastrophic it seems, it feels like, the more it is asking from us to be open within, to look deeper within, to look at something that maybe we haven't wanted to look at before, or maybe something we thought we healed. You ever thought you forgave everything and then something pop up and you're like, wait, we done did forgiveness. We done did that lesson. you know? There's this is going deeper. And so I have been in a situation where I've had to face a lot of things about myself, still in the process, but at the end. Um, but I have really had to work through, and it all surrounds self-worth and worthiness. I've had to work through a need to do something perfect, even when perfection is clearly unable to be achieved in the situation. I still go to, completely get obsessed by it. And I've had to work within that energy of why is it, do I need to be so perfect? Why is it that I need to, because part of my job and the business that I've stepped out and began this year, sometimes it's you know, sometimes I forget to stop and look at all the things that I've, like done because you're focused in on in my business as I transform spaces that have maybe lost their beauty into something spectacular. So my goal in what I do is to wow people. So if the opposite happens, ow. Mm. And the way this healing has been set up, it's been set up almost to where there have been times when I've been like, God, is this a joke? Like, is this is this is this job a joke? Like, is this really happening? Because, we used new materials, that just did not work out well, and I could not gain perfection. So it was not for lack of trying, and it wasn't for lack of skill, and it wasn't for, lack of knowledge. It was, a lot of different things. And yeah, I'm learning a lot. So I've been learning a lot. So there's definitely a lot. And so I started that was where this whole path of self-worth began. So I'd say that's back in August, September. It started there with the stress of how do I make something perfect that is clearly not able to be perfect. And I worked within that, and I went through my darkness because you gotta let all of those crazy emotions work through you. That's where that whole pouring like a carbonated drink into a glass really fast, it just bubbles and then comes up all over, up and over, the cup. But if you like chill out and you just set it there, you go slow, you chill out, it'll go down. Well, that's kind of what's happening when we're processing through those emotions. Now, in my recovery journey, it took me a long time to be able to sit in those and let them work themselves through without trying to shut it up or affirm it away or, you know, utilize someone else. Always it was hard for me to be alone with myself and my thoughts. It was a scary place. And then there came a time in my about year 3 that everybody was just cut out of my life. Everybody just took themselves, or something happened, they got sick or died or just left. And it was like, oh shit, now I have no choice. But I proved to myself in that time that I could be with my emotions and not use. If you're still really early in your recovery journey, this is where it is very vital to have a sponsor or to have some connections, because in the beginning you sincerely need that. You need that support until you start getting a strong foundation underneath you where you can allow yourself to go through some deeper, darker things maybe on your own. And I'm telling you, if the healing is meant for you, it's coming in your life. These are the things that happen beyond our control. And that was what I was really going through in this whole situation, because in the one hand, this is going to be the way I take my family to the next level. This is the way my family eats. So if this is my first real big happening, then I gotta make it right, because anybody who comes in and looks, they're not gonna ask, was that crappy? Was that bad paint, or was that a weird? No, they're gonna say, well, what shitty painter did this? You know what I mean? And I know that. So, for me, there's a lot riding on making this really, really spectacular. And it's been my goal from the start to really do that. Um, and they're just things that have been completely out of my control that have been happening. That's why I say, is this a joke? Like, what is going on here? Because it's so exciting to get into. And, it got a little better as I could finally really get going on it. And then, something big happened, like something went up and the person just didn't like it. And I was devastated, devastated. And I could my knowing that, we really did our best on it, with what we had to work with. We did our absolute best. That part quickly got engulfed by the part that was like, "Oh no. This means they don't like anything. Oh no." I mean, just the my whole energy just changed, and I went to I'd really been in like a really deep, dark night of the soul, because between the perfection and needing it to be perfect, not only because my family's future, relies on this, but also because there's a need for me to hear, "Oh, we love it." Oh man, it's just amazing. You know? Not that it's not supposed to make us feel good, but sometimes we gotta look a little deeper to see why it makes us feel so good. It's like we need that back. We're not in a place yet where we can validate ourselves so well that we're like, I gave it my best, and not second guess and blame ourselves and all those things, because when that's your go-to, that is an immediate sign that you are carrying a wound of worthiness. The moment that the first thing your kick in, reaction is, that's your wound. That's the wound showing it up. And it's like, it's painful. It's super painful. And even though at this stage in my journey, I've been on a deeper spiritual healing journey for a while now, even at this stage where I know, and this does make it somewhat easier. Y'all know I believe in a spark of hope in any situation. If there's one spark of hope, then hope drives me. And so I always, to this, in this part of my healing journey, I am so absolutely certain that whatever dark situation I'm going through has a beautiful rainbow on the other side. I know it. It's still, you gotta go through, you gotta walk through that dark night. You gotta let it bring up what it's going to bring up. Now, once again, I want to say this to you. If you are in a place where your mental health is not well and your spiritual health is still lacking, and you to you, whatever that is, but if it's lacking to you, if you're still feeling super broken, this is not the advice for you at this time. And that's okay. You got to be able to receive things that you're ready to receive. And I have to believe that maybe nobody who wasn't in a space where they could would probably be here, but I don't know. And all are welcome here. It doesn't even matter to me. So I just want to make that disclaimer, because I think that i- if we're shaky, and let's just say we still have ideations of not being here, this is not an exercise for you to run through all these things, not without support. That's when we have to utilize our support, whatever it is. That's where we got to get our spark of hope. Sometimes we got to get it from somebody else, and that's exactly where you got to be. But for others, I I had to let this run through, and having the knowledge that it is taking me to the level in which I want to go, because this is going to happen. This is going to happen. You can't please all the people all the time. Nobody can. And we spend so much of our lives and our energy chasing after that we never learn how to validate ourselves. And this is a really big thing for me because, like I said, it's so easy for me to get targeted on the next task or the next achievement or the next space that I want to go, that I don't always stop and turn around and give myself enough credit for what I've done and where I've been. I don't really think about the past so much anymore, but there are times when, I have conversations with my wife that I do begin when we start talking about old memories and different things. I start to realize, man, wow, like I've really done a lot of work, inner work, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for that. And so I am so grateful for this lesson. And I hope one thing that you can garner from this is that whatever it is that you're going through right now, because it's big, 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 it's big energy, it's asking a lot of you. If you're in a space where you can lean in, and you can lean into this too, it's the same with triggers. Triggers are just, like habitual synapses that fire in the brain at certain times under certain distress. And they really are little things. Well, they're not little, they don't feel little. They're things that come up that are coming up to show us a place that need to be healed. But as soon as that emotion comes up, the brain fires and says, not this and not today. And we push the escape button. And I've often said here that the moment that I learn to lean into my triggers and not just try to talk them away or use them away, when I learned to really started leaning into them and saying, okay, you know, it, I didn't know this because I didn't know access consciousness at the time, but it's like that the access saying, the question of what's right about this that I'm not seeing. What is right about this that I'm not seeing? And what else is possible here? There's this great perspective question, interesting perspective that I have this perspective. It's always they're coming up to show us something that can be healed in our lives if we are on a path to freedom. I want freedom. I want freedom. And freedom, we all define freedom differently. But I want the kind of freedom where my self-worth does not belong in the hands of anybody else outside of me. Anybody else, anything else, where I know who I am. I know from where I stand, and I built this solid foundation under me where I am not a victim or of my reactions to other people, where other people do not control my health, my wealth, and my happiness. That's where I want to be. So, what are the true intentions, I'd say, of your life and your recovery journey? Like, what are your intentions in your recovery journey? It'll be amazing for you to kind of get clear on that, because that's where a lot of the sparks of hope come from, is remembering what your intentions are. Now, my intentions when I came into recovery, because I didn't know what that true freedom looked like yet, I wanted to be free of addiction. It always had something to do with freedom. I didn't want something like this to continue to have control over me. And that what my other intentions were is that I was going to heal my head and my heart. And that is what I asked for. That's what I've intended. And that's definitely what I have been getting and have gotten. And for all of it, through each stage And I've been in this one energy of like a death and transformation energy for like the past 15 years. And there's reasons for that. And I didn't know it. But when I found out, it was just so like, oh, there's my spark of hope. But in this 15 years of this whole death and transformation, my life is so different. And I know it's cliche for people to say, oh, recovery's worth it. I'm going to say healing is worth it because I was never in control of me. I was never in control of my life, of my actions, of my words. I was at the whims of my reactions to the perception that I had about life and everybody in it, and especially those that were closely surrounding to me. And that perspective, those those glasses that I saw the world through was damaging, so damaging, and being at the whim of that perception and then realizing that I could change that. That's a power. That's one of your sovereign superpowers is to be able to see this stuff, to be able to heal it and change it and live a better, create a life you love. That is our right. That is our sovereign right. And once we realize that we can change it, even the littlest changes. That's why you always hear us talk about gratitude, 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 because it is a proven way to change the way you see the world. And that changes the way you experience the world. And I know where I want to go. I know where I want to be. I want to be calm in the storm. It's been promised to me that I can be. I want to be calm in the storm. I don't want to not have the lessons, but I want to be even calmer in the knowing that this too shall pass. And there's still a few little voices that have just enough volume in there that are able to cause me to doubt that at times. And that's what this lesson is all about. I got to create a new standard of worthiness. I got to create what's really going to keep me strong and going. Because this man is not a, he's not a, they're not, he's not a mean man or mean people. And that's why I was so grateful that I guess it happened with them because it was like, it meant a lot more, because of that. But it also allowed me to be able to see the bigger picture and be understanding of somebody else's, what all of it's meant to them and their feelings about things, and to know that that there was never, no one ever meant me harm. And at the same time, beautiful, beautiful, because this now gives me a place to build from, and it gives me a place to start to create that freedom that I'm wanting, that freedom that I'm wanting. And so, whatever you're going through, whatever it is, whatever you're feeling led to do, if it's get up and clean up your house for whatever reason, do a spring clean or whatever, do it, follow it. Even though your brain may nag you and say, nah, I don't really feel like it right now, follow your soul's guidance. Get up and clean that energy out. Let this healing work through you. You're going to come out on the other side if your intention is to discover, what is right about the situation that I'm not seeing. If you know this is healing you to the next level of your asking, then in, lean in, and utilize the levels of support that your heart asks of you. You know, I'm not a huge, this is going to sound so ironic. I'm not a huge talker. Anyway, I don't find it easy to share it, and in certain times when I know I'm going through a processing stage, and I try to be really aware that I don't take it out on the people that are closest to me, because that's so easy for us to do, you know. Doesn't make us bad, makes us human. But after a certain, you can't just keep on and keep on and keep on, because then that becomes a pattern that, is not good. It becomes a toxic pattern, and it can even lead into abuse. But, so I try to be acutely aware, and not take it out on other people. But so, there's I don't do what I said all that to say this, my level of support during those times were, not calling and all of those things, or reaching out to my friends, because sometimes it's hard for me to even verbalize like what it is. And I'm so blessed to have the kind of friends that live this as well and are very aware of it. And so I can, say going through the darkness and they understand, and they send me healing and love, which is what we need more than we need someone to help us, you know, victimize ourselves, or someone to help us stamp down that escaping mindset, because it's easy to get into the role of the victim. It's easy to want to defend. It's easy to want to do those things, and we're not wrong for doing them. They're just not what's going to help us move through it. It's not what's going to help get us to a healthier space within ourselves, because that's what this is about. This is about achieving that healthier space within, because when you achieve that, you have a healthier space without, and all of that, and it moves throughout. So that's really the goal. And so, you know, eh, it's not that you can't it's not that you don't process those things, because of course, defense is natural and all of that stuff, but we don't always want somebody else to, to co-sign. It's not helpful for people to co-sign our bullshit sometimes. And even when it doesn't seem like it's bullshit, there's still something deeper than that. And if you're willing to move past that, if you're willing to let that move through you without engaging enough other people, that where it becomes excessive. But if you're willing to grow through that and go through that, it, it reveals itself, like what it's for, if you're willing to see it, if you're willing to look at it. And that's what's worth it, because that gets me ready for the next level of where I'm going in my life. And I don't necessarily know what that looks like. I'm not one of those manifestors that, does a lot of visualization and picturing things, because I don't want to limit God, universe, you know, spirit, whatever, source. I like source, because the source of everything. I don't like to limit like that. So I like to be open to the greatest possibilities for my life and for my family and for every area. And sometimes, most of the times, to get to the place of the greatest possibilities, we have to walk through and put down some of our baggage, which means we have to take the painful path to self worth. That's what it is. Okay. Wow. 40 minutes. I had to do this week because this brings me joy. And I have not, since I've been talking to you guys, I haven't felt like I don't have a right to be here, or I should be doing something else. Like I really wanted to come here tonight and to be able to experience what gives me joy and which I hope, helps in some type of way. I am still away from home, but I wanted to tell you that, and I don't have the book with me, but our beautiful sister, my sister, and our recovery soul food just cheerleader, Pamela Topchian, has an amazing book called I Didn't Come This Far to Only Come This Far. She has walked this journey as well and continues, and she and Breakthrough Hypnotherapy are just doing massive things. It's Hypno Breakthrough. Did you change the website? Hypno Breakthrough still? I don't know. Pammy can put it in the chat, please, because if we're in recovery and we're looking for ways, and I think it's got to be a this and this and this and this and this to a true full wellness, then we can utilize things like meditation and hypnosis and all of those things because it's not a sideshow act. I've done several episodes with Pamela here on, and they're listed on YouTube about what it is, and she's always able to come here. That this is all the time, and she's been doing some great stuff out there, putting some wonderful guided meditations and hypnosis out there, and she's just wonderful at what she does. And so utilize things that can help you open yourself up to greater possibilities. And her book, I Didn't Come This Far to Only Come This Far, does that too. Talks about her journey and her big death and transformation chunk. And it's beautiful. It's wonderfully written and it's beautiful. And you can get that at Amazon.com. If you want more about how you can utilize energy and planetary shifts and movements and all of that stuff in your healing journey, then follow my good friend Tandy Gutierrez on Unicorn Wellness on Instagram at Tandy_Gutierrez, Gutierrez. She is just an amazing healer. She's got an amazing studio. If you are a woman on a health and wellness quest and you want to know how movement in the body can help release trauma from the body and all of Tandy's healing wisdom, you can also go to unicornwellnessstudio.com. So get all you can get. Do everything that helps. I mean, you gotta, this is a healing journey and it belongs to you. So what works for you is for you. That's it. That's the story, my friends. And I commend you wherever you are on this journey. All right. Gosh, I love Mary and Pam because they are chatty in the chat and I love it. I love it. People pleasing trauma response. Yes. Yes. And I got that one. Responding versus reacting. Absolutely. That's the freedom. When you are able to respond versus react, that's the freedom. That has so much power. Power, power, power. And we gotta realize that within ourselves because that's what we're doing here. It's not just about all the stuff we do that everybody can see. What we're really doing here is to become, to realize who we are at a soul level, every way, mind, body, and spirit, everything. That's what we're here to do. And I wish it were just being, famous, whatever, TikToker or whoever, whatever they're doing, whatever the big thing is. I don't know. But maybe that's just part of it. But the deeper calling is what you're doing in here and how that goes out away from you. When you heal yourself, you heal 1,000 others in every direction from you. 1,000 others in every direction. So, stay with it. Stay with it. Hypno Breakthrough. In the chat, if you're watching on YouTube, Pamela has that in the chat. I love you guys so much. Like I said, everybody that's been here and watched, thank you so much. Whatever you're going through, keep that spark of hope. I promise you, you can get up from your give up and you can create a life you love. That's what we do here. Follow us everywhere. Become a subscriber. Do all the things, please. Thank you so much. Y'all have an amazing week. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.